Dodd.
Oh no.
I just got lag. Is that on my end?
Well, you
The
answered
internet's
that question
lag.
pretty fast.
You know the way to test it is the very scientific clap test.
Should we start recording? Are we doing our own tracks?
Yeah, sure. Fine.
I'm just asking, dude.
We may as well.
Holy shit.
I am recording right now. That's
All right.
all I know.
Oh, we're live.
I
I better
just
stop picking my nose.
I
I don't want the world to know about it, just you guys.
All right. What say we give a clap? Huh? All right.
Who's got the clap?
3, 2, 1.
That wasn't bad. Pete's cup is
bad.
fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
As usual.
I actually felt like I was late as well. So wait.
I felt like I didn't get it that
So
time. What's
I
the motivation for the clap? I feel like my heart wasn't in it. Yeah, so Mr. Grisham is going to magically appear through the power of the internet in moments.
Did you guys record a show last night there, Pete? I know you were going to.
We did, yeah. Yeah, it was a crossover of the Press Row Hangout and Dodcast.
Man,
Cool.
is the internet ready for
So
that?
no one will be happy. Too much sports for the Dodcast and too much not sports for Press Row.
Do Press Row listeners complain when it's not all sports? Because that'd be great.
Not that I know of. Pretty much the only complaint I think they have is that Rich loves EA too much.
He did get a very high review to NBA Live.
He did. He loves it.
Oh,
He
now
did.
now I
I'll
wish
let him
Mike was
talk
here.
about that last night.
I would love
Alright, should-
to see Mike and Rich throw down over NBA Live. This
Hmm.
the geriatric battle of Live 95 or whatever the hell.
NBA Live has always been terrible.
NBA 2K12.
You're going to say it? NBA Live was never good?
No, ever since NBA 2K, 2K has always been the better franchise. So for the last 15 years, it's been a better franchise.
Damn. Okay.
That's my analysis.
There you go. Yeah. All right, should we do this thing?
I
think we should.
Well, I am getting skipping audio. Is it okay if real quick I just reboot things? Not even my entire computer, but just Chrome and my.
I got to before you do that, I have
YouTube.
one question before you leave.
Mhm.
Is that an amiibo behind you?
You would think so, but it's even better because it's filled with
Oh
candy.
man.
Whoa.
You may now reboot.
That's even better DLC than what you get with an amiibo.
All right, I'll be
Download
right
this to your
Perhaps.
download this content to your stomach.
Perhaps Mr. Grish Richam will be here by the time Mr. Dodd gets back.
Pretty possible, yeah. So we're starting a half hour late. This is good.
It's not bad. It's like Phil's actually here.
You know, Kevin, you probably could have watched the last 20 minutes of Hackers. And we just,
I already saw the good part.
yeah. Well,
I heard the tracks of the soundtrack I wanted to hear. The last track is really good too, but it's reused at the beginning of the movie, so it's okay.
Kevin, I have to ask you,
Yeah.
because you're the only person in the world I know that would appreciate this as much as I did, and I didn't get to talk to you about it yet. How about that Furious 7 trailer?
Let's fucking go. Let's go. Let's go.
I watched it too. I love it.
Like seriously, I know why Mike is so bitter. If he had seen any of the Fast and Furious movies, his life would be way better.
It's true. Yeah.
Yes.
Just need to pop open a
I
Corona Light, or maybe even just a regular Corona.
if I ever need to smile, I just sit back and really think about the progression of those movies and where those characters are now compared to where they were in the first movie.
poster right there. Move that in, and I got
Alright.
my Fast Five is.
Yes.
No, it's Fast and Furious 6 is over there. So
Nice.
I got my stuff moved in, the important stuff.
Important stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
My twin Famicom.
By the
my
way,
GM.
I got your original Hackers right here. Look at that.
That's a great movie.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic movie. And also fantastic soundtrack for the new one.
Indeed, yes.
So
Yes. That was nice.
Yeah. Greg, were you with us when we saw Tron in 70 millimeter during E3?
I do not believe so.
Okay. Because that was awesome.
Was that?
Just saying. I don't remember you being there, but it was great.
I blend into the background.
Yeah.
That's kind of my thing.
This seems to be better on my end.
Alrighty.
No, it's good.
Excellent.
I
Were we good to go?
I'm good. I was born ready.
Should I start recording again?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I never stopped, so.
Yeah, I didn't.
I'll stop and start again.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, well, I guess I will too.
Because, why not?
Well, I'm going to give you a fresh file, and I want to make sure I give it to you in the highest quality possible, which is going to be, I don't know if you're on a Mac, I got AIFF, but I'll probably stick to WAV for you.
Well, thank you.
High audio.
I take it we're doing another clap.
Yeah, sure. Why
Okay,
the
I'm
heck
going to
not?
start with my hands closer.
Okay,
Recording.
good idea. All right.
This big.
All right, 3, 2, 1.
That's better.
See, that was great. That's the best clap ever.
That's our show for
We
this.
all have to clap now.
We are done. All right.
And look, Grisham's here.
First Christian. We have to get someone else
The
to
internet
clap.
Grisham, ladies and gentlemen.
We're gonna have to do this all over again.
You know what? Let's invite some more people. I want the little thumbnails to go right across the bottom of the screen.
Yes, we should.
This. Look at this crew. Wow.
We've got quite a turnout.
I feel like we're back at PAX East, except for the extra two guys.
Yeah.
I heard you killed a man with your pec.
The last time I was in a club was with Rich Grisham. I think. I'm almost positive about that.
The police reports have been burned and the record sealed.
I didn't even know they had those kinds of clubs in Boston.
No, we got tons of them.
All right. Should we do another clap?
Why not?
Sure.
We're getting good at it
Are
with
we
all this
restarting our local recording?
Yeah, I'm not recording locally yet. I need a minute to do
Gotta
that.
fire up the tape to tape.
Yes.
I'm gonna need just a minute for that. I was not prepared.
Whoa.
I like that.
You gotta be prepared for podcasting.
Can you use that on the Dotcast currently?
All right.
So I become the most handsome person.
You can see. Yeah, Rich, you're doing construction there.
Well, this computer doesn't have any audio recording stuff on it, so gotta get the other one going.
Hmm.
I can just use this.
And get this mic going. Start QuickTime.
It's like you're at a press conference. You gotta.
Really.
Yeah. Applications, QuickTime. When you record locally, you guys use Audio Hijack, right?
We do.
Yeah.
Well, I think we all do.
Some people
I
do.
use Audacity because I'm better.
PC Master Race.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, the Genesis. The Saturn's 20 years old next week.
That's depressing.
Does that make you feel old, Pete?
we get so.
Good luck this week,
Wait, how's it
Jay.
next week? Didn't the Saturn had that surprise May launch?
No, it's
No, the Japanese
Japanese
Saturn.
version.
Actually, I can record
okay,
the
gotcha.
surprise band, right? Yeah, that's what I'll do.
Doesn't that mean the PS1 is also coming up on 20?
Yeah, it came out like a week later, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares about that system? I'm talking about the Saturn. Who the hell ever played a PS1?
Okay.
All right. Is everybody already recording?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's do the clap and start this fucking show.
Hey, you go see mommy. I got an invader. You want to say hi? Here.
Sure.
Let's go hi to everyone.
Even further.
Say hi.
Hi, Charlotte.
Oh, you not gonna say hi?
No.
No. Okay.
She
Hi.
dressed like a princess? She is dressed like a princess.
Oh, jeez.
Uh-oh.
Microphone hog.
What have we started?
I didn't know Phil was on.
Do you remember what's hack?
All right, you go have to go see mommy. All right.
Oh,
Yeah, she's so agreeable.
I was going to say, that was surprising.
Yeah.
Like, well, all right.
All right.
All right.
Sucks.
All right. Should we do a clap? I
Yes.
think we should, just
Okay.
for fun.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Not bad.
I like it. Hello and welcome to episode 419 of the Player One podcast for your Monday, November 17th, 2014. I'm your host, Chris Johnston. With us tonight is Mr. Greg Seward, all the way back from Florida.
Yes, sir.
Yes, and boy, aren't his arms tired, etc., etc.
So on and so forth.
Yes. We don't have Mike or Phil this week, but last minute we have we replaced 2 people with 3 people. Let's introduce from back in my play and the Fitcast, Mr. Kevin Larrabee.
How's it going, guys? Great to be back.
Great. Thanks for joining us on such short notice.
Yeah, I was watching Hackers, but I couldn't pass up the last 20 minutes of Hackers to come on the Player One podcast on last minute notice.
Well, this podcast is really like a reenactment of the last 20 minutes of that film, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, it's thank you. Yeah, it's great.
From the great state of Utah, because we have to have one person from Utah. Cast. Mr. Pete Dodd from the Doddcast, DoddScientifics.com. Hello.
Hi. I feel like now that you guys threw a bunch of feelers out there, and then when mine came back, you're like, shit.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened.
We're not telling you the order in which we contacted anyone. So you know.
But Kevin was first. And joining us from New Jersey, Mr. Rich Grisham, host of the Press Row podcast and the Doddcast.
Hello. Great to be here. Best show on the internet. I love it every time I get to come on the Player One podcast. Thank you.
Well, thank you for joining us on such short notice. All right, guys, games journalism, we've got a problem.
We've been saying that for years, haven't we?
And it all comes down. It all comes down to one word. It starts with an E, and it ends with something that rhymes with cargo. And I'm talking about embargo. 2014. For those of you who don't know, Assassin's Creed Unity came out on Tuesday last week, and reviews for the title were embargoed until noon that day. And
yeah,
they were not positive reviews.
Can I add a little context to that as well?
Sure, go.
It was noon in the United States.
That is
much later in the rest of the world, and noon on the East Coast. So it was like Europe, and I have friends I game with in Australia and New Zealand. Like they had the game for almost a full day before the reviews came out.
Yeah, and the reviews were not favorable. A lot of 7s, a lot of low scores for a franchise that has repeatedly gotten 8s and 9s to be on the lower to middle of the scale is pretty jarring for sure.
So what's wrong with the game then?
I played the first 10 sequences of the game, so I'm like roughly 80-something% way through the story at least. Mm-hmm. And this is on the PlayStation 4, so just for context there. And what I've noticed is that it is still Assassin's Creed. They haven't really changed a lot of the mechanics, and on top of that, there are a lot of glitches that go along with that. Many of them are graphical in nature that you will see right off the bat, from pop-in to characters changing their whole appearance as you walk up to them, drawing issues, and but I ended up stopped playing it around the 10th sequence because there were so many game-breaking glitches where scripting would be broken, or there were points where I was stuck holding on to an invisible piece of the wall and I couldn't get down from, so I'd have people constantly shooting at me.
Wow.
Because I couldn't get off the wall. And this is after 2 updates that have come out since release, and this is the point where I went, CJ, I know I've always been kind of against you on the digital front, but honestly, at this point, I don't think there's a real point in owning these games for long term, because you're gonna, if you want to play this game in 15 years and you don't have access to the servers for it, you're not going to be able to play it, because those updates fixed some things, but it's still super broken. Like even with other games that are coming with these day one patches to fix all these frame rate problems, these games aren't going to hold up. They're not going to have longevity like our Super Nintendo games, and that sucks. It's why I just, as soon as I beat some of these games, I'm just flipping them and selling them, and I'm more invested in things like GameFly today.
I don't have... the only game that I'll buy digital right now is a game where I don't have a choice. If there's any way for me to buy a physical copy of a game, I will buy a physical copy of a game. Yeah. For that reason, for trade-in value, but especially now because you can't trust anything that you buy. I mean, you look at Halo, the Master Chief Collection. Exactly. Nobody had any idea that game was going to be as completely busted as it is. There was... it just wasn't, people weren't thinking about it, and so that's just another reason. Like, if you pre-ordered that game digitally and you have been trying for a week to play it and you haven't, you have absolutely no recourse whatsoever. It's disgrace, frankly.
Well, that's the thing. It's like there's no problem with people developing games and saying, oh wait, it doesn't matter. Even if we don't think we can hit this release date, we can go gold 3 weeks early from our release, and then just work on it for 3 more weeks, release a day one patch. But as someone like, I'm a retro collector, I like collecting these games. I have a big, rack of not only history games, but like DS games. Like, those games don't need a day one update, and it's even more, hats off to Nintendo for never doing this garbage. Like, that's why Nintendo games are always going to hold their value, because they don't release broken games, at least not in my memory.
Yeah, my favorite image was the one from Assassin's Creed Unity where somebody's face was half rendered.
Yeah. And of course, you can say that about half the this podcast. So
all the tweet jokes that followed about, they really don't know how to animate women. Look.
Now you see that they were actually telling the truth, because obviously they didn't even have time to finish the game they made.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of Red Dead Redemption had all those like weird glitches where you'd have like the townsperson's skin on the coyote or something, and it would look all weird. Mm-hmm. But it's been fun to watch the YouTube videos this week of people who run into very different things. Like, there's one that's really great where it's a cutscene, and then all of a sudden there are some NPCs who are just in the scene.
Well, it wasn't. That wasn't even the problem that I had with it. The problem that I had is that I could not hear the dialogue of the main characters because they were so loud, acting like they were making the dialogue like I was bumping into them, and like they were getting scared of me being there. But this game is unfortunately super busted, because technically and graphically, when it's working, it looks awesome.
Yeah. But then again, I think the criticisms of it being the same game as we've had before, and the other thing that a lot of folks pointed out was the whole microtransactions, and that you have to buy the hacked currency to get into some treasure chests. So we sort of had that a little bit in Black Flag, a little bit, but it was hidden. It wasn't treasure chests within the game world. It was like stuff on your boat that was hidden behind the website and microtransactions. But now it's like right there in the game world for everyone to bump into.
So, like, this 2014 has been such an amazing year as far as proof of the gaming industry economy being broken. Like, they're trying to do way too much on way too short a time scale. And all these games this year that are coming out, they're just completely broken or have completely broken features. Like, it's I don't remember it being this bad before. And even things like the gigantic day one patches, like, it's insane now. It really is.
About like a 6 gig patch, or in Master Chief Collection's case, near 20 gigabyte. Just,
Yeah. And
ridiculous.
you look at this, like you look at Assassin's Creed, you look at Drive Club, you look at NBA 2K15, I think it was, that had the map your face feature that just didn't work. Period. Like,
Yeah.
And server issues on top of
it
it.
just goes on and on and on.
Master Chief Collection having server issues. Yeah, I think the thing with Assassin's Creed that exacerbates the whole thing is that embargo. Like if the reviews had come out a few days earlier, it would have been 2014, the year of broken games at launch.
How
Just be the embargo thing.
How early did the gaming press start reporting about when that embargo actually was?
No idea.
I don't think anybody actually said out loud, other than our reviews hit on Tuesday at noon.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
There weren't complaints about it until we were complaining.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, but I'm not 100% positive because I don't follow the media as much as I used to, and I was really busy this week anyway. But like the way that our enthusiast press could have served us is the second that embargo was, had to be signed or agreed to, that should have been reported.
Well, one of the things that was pointed out, I think by Justin McElroy, is sometimes embargoes include an embargo on the embargo.
Yeah. Even I had that for a review for. Like it had an embargo. You can't talk about when the reviews are allowed to go up. And this is for like a downloadable game that I reviewed for a no-name website.
Yeah, see, that's insane. That's out of control.
Embargo squared.
Then the other thing you do at that point is you get a freelancer in Australia to buy the game at a midnight launch, and you get him to record some footage and put it up right away.
Right, exactly. Well, people had been Twitch streaming Assassin's Creed Unity for the whole weekend. And the same is going on now with Far Cry 4. Like, people were streaming that before the reviews and that came out. It's just that we don't have the score to attach to it, you see.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like you don't have the score to attach to it, so you have to wait till your review's ready to go. But that's bull. It goes back to what we've been saying before about what I always say about game trailers with their first look idea. And if you've got a weird embargo like that where the game is at retail before you're allowed to talk about the version they sent you, well then figure out a way to go out and buy that game and put footage up. There's nothing they can do to you for that.
Unless you also got the game via embargo, right? It doesn't matter that you can go out and buy it if you were using the copy you were given.
No. You go out and buy it. That's what I'm saying. Don't use the copy they sent you. Go out and buy it. Show them the physical copy. Show them the receipt if they put up a fight about it. I'm totally serious. Like,
you're still going to be messing with the PR handler or whatever that you have for that company.
It's true, but
I'm just trying to give that's what their excuse is going to be because they have that convenience of being able to get those games a week early for review. So the excuse that a lot of people were saying, or like the reasoning, is that would you rather have a review that at noon Eastern Standard Time the day of release that is complete that we've had for a week, or do you want the first 6 hours of our impressions and had someone stay up all night try to rush through the game as fast as possible? I'm just trying to give the other.
I totally understand that, but I've said that on the show before. You just go public with that stuff. Will you get blacklisted? Maybe, but CJ can attest to this too. When we were at EGM, we lived through companies not sending us games because they were pissed off.
That's true, but we weren't competing with the internet.
Never lasted. Yeah, but still, it never lasted very long.
Right. But competing with the internet, like I think it's true that if you put up a review 3 days late, you miss a lot of traffic. And websites, that's unfortunately their lifeblood is advertising from page views, from traffic. They need that.
And everybody wants to know what they don't know as well. When I got NHL early under embargo, and I didn't know that I couldn't stream it, and I was streaming it a couple of nights before, and I'd never have more than a couple of dozen people ever watching my stream. I had 250 people watching it. Then I started streaming NHL the day that it came out, and I had like 10 people watching it. Yeah. So that's the other thing. People are always fascinated with what they can't put their hands on or what's not out there. So like you said, and it's not just about reviews, it's about streams and YouTube. If you have any ability to show something early versus on time or late, the amount of traffic you get, dramatically changes. And
Well, this is where I think we're going. Is we are going to have streamers and YouTubers who can get the games early, who aren't even on the press list to sign an embargo. They're going to be the ones who get the video views from these if this trend continues. And the other thing is going to be that publishers are going to do their own stuff, and I don't think they're really all that worried about scores from Polygon, Joystick, etc. in the long run. It's good for marketing, especially if you get 9s and 10s and can put that in a nice TV spot or pre-roll trailer to run on YouTube. That's great, but I don't think it's going to hurt them overall.
Well, you can't even show a game early either, right? Like, you'll get banned from Twitch. Sorry, Pete, I didn't mean to cut you.
Dob wants to say something.
I'm really slow. The flip side of this, and this is in no way an excuse for the embargoes, because the embargoes are ridiculous, but the flip side of this is people who are putting reviews out of games before they are testing them in a live environment, and case in point being Drive Club or Master Chief Collection. Like, those worked with very low player counts, and then when big player counts came in, they broke. Yep. So the race to get reviews out quickly is a problem. Embargoes is a problem. The lack of public betas on a lot of these online-only games is a problem. There's many, many problems, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Although the sales of the consoles don't seem to be affected by any of these problems at all. They're selling like crazy.
Well, and Microsoft said, for the last 10 days, they're beating the PS4 since their price drop.
Good.
Yeah.
I bought one when they dropped the price. I got that Sunset Overdrive bundle.
Yeah, and some of the deals on the Xbox One are kind of insane, like getting the Assassin's Creed bundle, which comes with Black Flag and Unity.
So a good game and a broken game.
Yeah. For $350, and some retailers were also doing a gift card at the same time, which brings the price down even more. I mean, that's been great.
I'm feeling really good about that day one Xbox One purchase. Really good about that.
That's right. The only people that it screws are people who bought it around launch.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know I can't tell if Rich is being completely serious or not, but honestly, I don't feel like I got screwed by buying it the first day.
Oh no! If you're an early adopter, you're an early adopter.
Exactly.
You pay, and
I
you know
was
that going in.
it up until the point that the price was dropped. So
Yeah.
But it should be said that it was insane to us, and I remember being on the Press Row podcast years ago talking about the 3DS dropping $80 in price, and it was like, wow, but then they were giving us all of these Game Boy Advance games and stuff, and it was like, and it wasn't going to be available, and it's like, okay, that's cool. The Xbox One, within 1 year, I mean, Black Friday, it's going to be $330, $330, and compared to $500 at launch, that is insane. Granted, it doesn't have to connect, but the Kinect has also proven itself to be fairly irrelevant. So it
being kind.
My Kinect hurt you, by the way.
That's always hard to talk about too, because you've also had access to their library for a year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So right. and there's been some pretty good games on that thing.
Oh,
there has been, and I got an Xbox One last December, and I enjoyed the system, and I think Titanfall is still in contention for Game of the Year for me. But at the same time, the way that I look at these things is, like, for early adopters, it's like, okay, if there's a price drop, if someone said to you, like, hey, I'll let you can borrow my Xbox One for a year, but whatever the price drop is how much you have to pay to rent it. If someone said, $170, I'd be like, no, $170 crazy to rent it for a year, and that's that's my mental gymnastics. Everyone has their own way of,
that's a fair way to put it. I mean, at the same time, again, I go back to you're an early adopter. You're agreeing to pay that price, and it's really nice what Nintendo did with the 3DS, and that was great. But I think it's crazy to expect that of anybody.
Although I would say, historically, if you were an early adopter previously, you didn't have to watch the system get discounted by $150 or more dollars.
But the market's going to dictate that, right? It has nothing to do with
1 year of your purchase, 1 year of launch. That's kind of ridiculous.
It's unprecedented.
But it's $50. If you want to talk the Kinect, they're selling the Kinect standalone for like $130 now.
I mean, they got rid of Kinect. When they dropped the price, and then they added in a a bunch of games that you didn't get.
I agree with you. I'm just like I said.
For me personally, there's no way I'm insane about this stuff. There's no way that there's a brand new video game console out there that I don't go get. I just have to, like that. I'm just crazy.
Wait. You know, we are unapologetically stupid about early adoption.
That's right.
PlayStation TV already, then, Rich?
Well, no, actually.
Oh, all right.
A good new console. Okay.
Yeah.
But so Xbox One being $350 or less, what? And they've apparently been beating Sony for the past 10 days. Is that you think that's making Sony quake in their boots at all, or for this
10 days? No.
I would be nervous if I were Sony. I mean, Microsoft has a very strong core base of fans through the 360. I mean, I was a 360 guy all the way last generation, and there's a lot of people out there still who don't have a next-gen console, and I don't necessarily say they should be shaking in their boots, but I mean, if it would be poor business strategy not to have something up their sleeve to make sure
they have to respond.
Yeah, and they do have some holiday bundles this year.
Yeah.
Right, and actually some really, really good ones. There's a GTA 5 bundle and a Lego Batman 3 bundle. The thing about this that I find interesting is, so on the PlayStation blog, they talk about it being the GTA 5 and Lego Batman 3 bundles, but each of those come with another game that is maybe like even better. The GTA 5 system comes with The Last of Us Remastered, and Lego Batman 3 comes with Little Big Planet 3.
What?
Yeah.
That's quite a deal.
For, what is it, $399, right?
$399.
Yeah.
That's a great deal, too.
I mean, Little Big Planet 3 is going to suck, but that's still a really good deal.
Dude.
Right. Where's Mike Phillips?
That was
Utah
for Mike.
represent.
That's just to make sure that Mike's listening. I expect him to say something about that next week.
That's right. But really, what do you think? What do you think Sony's chances are for this holiday? Pete, go.
I think that they are probably going to lose in North America in November, definitely December, possibly, and then I expect the same thing to happen next year, which happened this year, which is the Xbox One's going to sort of flatline. I think the Xbox One is turning into sort of a Nintendo system in a way that it's a holiday thing, especially in North America. They slash prices. The only month the Xbox One won was December of last year in North America. I expect sort of the same thing, especially considering that like release schedule wise, Sony has a lot lined up for early 2015 where Microsoft doesn't. But the holiday, I think that Microsoft's going to take it by 200,000.
Oh wow, you even have numbers.
I do.
You're way more prepared for this than I ever am.
Yeah. But you know what? Microsoft, as soon as January 1 hits and that price goes back to whatever it was, they're going to have a hard time.
But will it?
Yeah.
Never going to happen.
That's what they say.
Well, they have to say that now because that pushes people to go to the stores and, I better buy this before the price goes back up.
Right. It may just be an insurance policy, right, to make sure they have.
They really can't afford this. I mean, they're losing so much money per unit right now, and I shouldn't say they can't afford. They can't. They literally can't afford because they have a ton of money.
Yeah.
But nobody that is either like high up in the company or an investor goes, I want to keep losing $100 per unit sold, or $150 per unit sold, whatever. There's been various rumors in between those two numbers. At some point, they need to make money on the system and not just sell the system.
Right, and the problem I think they start to have in the beginning of 2015 is a drought of next-gen titles, right?
Yeah.
Especially if they're going to be no longer price competitive. Yeah.
And third-party games as well. It doesn't look like it's changing much, except for Assassin's Creed Unity.
Yeah.
It for the most part, the big third-party games are still going to be better on the PlayStation 4. Batman is the biggest one in the first half of the year, and that has a deal with the PlayStation 4 with DLC and stuff. Xbox has an uphill climb in 2015 until Halo drops, and then they'll sell 1 million of them in a month.
Right.
Well, and they have the Halo 5 beta at the end of this year to spike by Christmas again. Hey, Kevin, you bought an Xbox One and a white PS4?
Yeah, it was like the week I got back from Japan. I was like, this is just it's time to go in because the big releases were coming out. It's fall, and there was a really nice $400 on eBay for the PS4 Destiny bundle. Flipped the copy of Destiny and got like a $350 PS4. As much as Mark McDonald tried to talk me into holding on to that game, I just couldn't do it. And then with the Xbox One, I got the very last one in like a 200-mile radius of my house after kind of waiting for them to come back in stock on Amazon. But I'm really surprised how much I am enjoying that Xbox One. Right now is a fantastic time for them to be doing that promotion. And people might think right now with the releases that they have been able to pick up Sunset Overdrive and Forza Horizon 2 and with Halo, like I have a buddy, my best friend lives down south, and we're going to be kind of having game night dates to play through all the Halos again. So that means a lot to me, and it's been a really expensive 2 weeks.
Yeah, for sure. And, these systems have been out for a year, and they've had a lot of time to improve the experience on both. And I would say especially Microsoft has been doing those monthly updates since like March or April. Mm-hmm. And I've just been really impressed with how well the Xbox One runs now.
Like the sleep works. Like I was blown away. I could not believe the first time that I actually turned off my Xbox One and came back like 2 days later, and I was the same spot I was in Sunset Overdrive. I'm like, wow, it actually works on Xbox One.
Yeah, Sony had that whole suspend resume thing they were touting, and the Xbox does it. So.
Yeah, it's great in Forza Horizon 2, right? Like that's the one game I'm playing on my Xbox One right now, and like you said, Gavin, you come back 2 or 3 days later and you're right there. Especially a game like Forza Horizon 2, it's sort of open world, and
in 5 seconds you're back in it.
Oh, it's great. It's fantastic.
And who would have guessed from the PlayStation 4 reveal when they're like, suspend resume, and you're going to be able to have a friend come in and play the game for you. You think, okay, suspend resume makes sense. We have all these devices that this already works with. Having someone come in, that sounds like one of these before the system launches and it never materializes. And I don't know what they're doing.
I think it's like the most... I am incredibly impressed by the turnaround that Microsoft has had from when I saw that launch and then I saw E3. I'm like, F you, Microsoft. You guys are treating your consumers like pieces of crap. And you guys, Greg and CJ, you guys know me pretty well. I'm usually pretty consumer-based when it comes to this stuff. That's why I don't buy digital games from Nintendo. But the thing is, Microsoft has turned things around. Phil Spencer has done a great job with like getting the right words out there, not having the guy that was at Sony who went to Microsoft have him talk anymore. The guys that were saying
Phil Harrison,
mm-hmm. and the main guy who left to go work at that. There you go.
Oh,
Man,
man.
you guys are on top of it. See, you do stay on the ball when it comes
Well,
to
no,
stuff.
I'm on top of it because that's exactly what I was about to say. I think like the sea change that we've witnessed has everything to do with Don Matrick leaving and Phil Spencer taking over. I mean, I lay it all at his feet.
Like just the tone at E3, like the whole tone since then has been making me want to spend money on their platforms, just like Sony did with all the PS4 stuff.
Absolutely.
Now I want to give Microsoft my money because I feel like they're on my side.
Yeah.
Do you think
You're wrong, but yes, I agree with you.
I know.
Do you think in the last couple months has Sony done anything to, I don't know, not really step away from their very customer-friendly, I don't know, position? But certainly Microsoft has come on extremely strong with that, and Sony has kind of been doing what they
seem like they're just staying the course. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, they've done some small little things like putting out VibRibbon on PSN has been really cool to do stuff like that, and also Strider 2, a game that was really hard to find on the PS1, I guess. Being able to put those things for hardcore gamers, I think, helps. But at the same time, like, you guys have been saying, like Pete was saying, like the games run better on PS4 right now. So if you really just care about the third-party stuff, you're still probably going to get a PS4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can say as someone who favors Sony platforms and has forever, Sony has been frustrating lately in terms of in September, especially once Destiny launched, the PSN was a mess, and it's gotten better now. They said that the subscriptions to PS Plus went up 100% that month, whatever. Excuses aside, there were a lot of issues there. The Drive Club launch was a complete mess. I love the game, the parts of it that I can play, but the rest of it were a mess. Like, Sony really, to me, has been dropping the ball a lot lately, and Microsoft has not. I mean, like, the Master Chief Collection is really their first stumble in a while. And we don't know how long it is. I mean, it could be tomorrow it's fixed and then we never think about it again, or it could turn into a Drive Club thing where like a month down the line. We have no idea, but that's the first stumble that they've made in a long, long time.
And for the amount of content that game has as well, it's sort of an achievement just on that end that the multiplayer doesn't work. That's a big component, of course, but it's not like the whole game is broken or
That's true. The issue doesn't permeate the whole game like it did with Drive Club.
Right.
It wasn't the whole game with Drive Club.
Yes, it was. The single player mode did not work the way that you couldn't connect to the network.
The other thing that I really love on the Xbox One is the social feed. I think that
So
is much better than the PS4's social feed. In the PS4 feed, there's always a bunch of ads, usually for games that I already own, and multiple entries of this person on your friends list played X game, and that stuff's not interesting. And you go over to Microsoft and you see exactly what achievements each of your friends have gotten. You see the leaderboard for Sunset Overdrive, who's had the longest combo. That stuff, or even who's broadcasting right from your social feed. You can see who's broadcasting on Twitch. That stuff is great on the Xbox, and it has been lackluster on the PS4.
And how brilliant is it having Twitch streams in the store?
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm looking at this game. Let me watch somebody play it right
really
on the screen right there.
There's that, and there's also game clips they do as well. If there's nobody streaming it, you can watch a bunch of user clips. So, good stuff. Next gen, 1 year old. We haven't really talked about Nintendo at all in this, and they've got a big launch coming up this week with Smash Brothers for the Wii U. You can preload that now. Nintendo embracing the 21st century digital download future with allowing people to preload games now. And apparently the way that it works is you preload it now, and the day it comes out, you download a very small key that basically activates the game.
That won't have any
The day it
problems
comes
at all.
out, I will go to my mailbox, open up an envelope, and put the game in my system.
Yeah.
Why have you guys not
I'll
embraced
tell you what. You know what? And we were
digital
going to get to this in
download
what
feature?
we were going to get to this in what you've been playing, but this has happened a couple times. I returned Sonic Boom today. That game is terrible. And if I had bought that digitally, I would be so pissed that I was out that money. Where I was able to return it today, trade it in, and get most of my money back. That's why the digital download feature, especially what we just talked about, like 2014 being the year of the game that's not complete or just completely broken. Like, there have been so many times this year that I've taken a game back within a week
Preach it.
because it was broken, and I could not. And there was a couple times this year where I bought something digitally, didn't like it, couldn't take it back. I was out that money. Like, that is the reason why I will not do the digital download thing. Like NHL 15, another perfect example. The previous NHL on the PS3, I bought digitally because I knew I was going to love it, right? Just like I knew I was going to love NHL 15, and it turned out being a complete turd. And I'm so happy that I didn't fall for that trap again this year because I managed to get most of my money back for it.
CJ, do you miss stuff like these great collector's sets on the PlayStation Vita where you can get Senran Kagura Shinobi Versus with an art book and special CD?
Soundtrack. Here's the thing about that. I used to be into games that have all that limited edition stuff. Now I'm just like, I'm not the audience for that anymore. The audience, the games that I like are, Sunset Overdrive or Far Cry 4 or Assassin's Creed, which I did not that don't even come with manuals anymore. So there's really no point to a boxed copy, and personally I like the convenience of being able to just boot up the system and switch between games on the fly. Like, that's a big convenience feature for me.
I love the idea behind that, and in a perfect world, that would be great, but
for me, I think I'm
game
buying fewer games, and I'm waiting to pull the trigger on stuff after release, like
after the review starts.
I'm sure I will eventually get Assassin's Creed Unity, but the reviews and everything they scared me off.
It would be $25 in a PSN sale, in January, February.
You know that's coming too.
That is where the digital download feature is good, and I will buy things digitally for that reason. Because again, if I'm at that point, I know not for sure, but I have a really good idea if I'm going to like it or not like it anyway.
Yeah, so a good example of that, Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation, I've been wanting to try that game, been very curious about it, but I don't want to spend $60 on that. I'm definitely waiting for a PSN sale, and then I'll pick it up.
I'm not sponsored. I only use it usually like 6 months a year, but I think this is the time of year, and I think this is the generation to do it, to really consider if you have it in your area, whether it be Redbox or GameFly, to rent this stuff, because like I was mentioning before, I don't think I'm going to buy a lot of games this generation because after you beat a game, I don't think there's going to be a point in going back to it. 10, 15 years down the road, like my Super Nintendo games or my Sega Genesis games, because you know what, they're probably not going to really run very well if I can't get access to those updates.
Right. Or if online play is seamlessly worked in to the game world, you would go into Destiny and no one would be there. So what's the point?
I mean, you can play Phantasy Star Online on the Sega Dreamcast and Quake 3, no problem.
But why would you want to?
Listen to the most recent episode of Back in My Play to understand what we're talking about.
Quake 3 on the Sega Dreamcast is a system seller. That game should have sold more systems.
I love that game because I was able to use mouse and keyboard, and I was playing against people using the Dreamcast controller, and I just completely dominated.
You were that guy who was like 50 kills and 4 deaths.
His handle was
God. Loved it. But I'm with CJ, though. I mean, this is my physical collection: a wine bottle, a Mario, and my systems, like that. I don't own games, like physical games. Everything that I own is digital.
Insane.
And Yeah, I'm not going to argue that I'm not insane.
Yeah.
I love it, and part of it for me is, especially with the PlayStation 4, is remote play. So when I fire up remote play, I don't have to worry about what disc is in the system. I can, like, my entire library is just there on the Vita, wherever I am, and cool. I can play this. I can, I really, really enjoy that. On the Xbox One, I bought everything digitally, right? I had to sell my Xbox One because my finances fluctuate like an insane person, and I'm going to rebuy one soon at actually a lower price than what I sold it for because of the price drops. And when I do, my whole library is waiting for me, where I probably would have sold the games and then been like, oh, like whenever I sell a game, I want to play it. Like that's what I find. Like I'm like, oh, I'm not playing this game. I'm gonna go sell it to GameStop or whatever. And then like 3 weeks later, I'm like, I wish I had that game.
But with all this stuff, like the only problem I have with the digital download stuff is that it's a super rental. It's a rental that you don't return because you are not going to be able to, like Greg said, you can't do anything with it. You can't sell it. Like even with, like right now with Sunset Overdrive, and I just played through the new Call of Duty. I played through those games. I got $40 credit for each of those through Best Buy. I got 80. I basically just spent $20 to rent them. But if I wanted to keep them, I could. Or if I want to buy them down the road, those are going to be $20 in like 2 years. I can just rebuy them if I really want them for my collection.
It's fascinating to see the different experiences that people have and want. Like, it seems like Greg and I are very much in the camp of, I want a physical copy of a game because I want to use it to trade in at some point, or if it's terrible, get rid of it quickly. And that is by far the most important thing. Where Pete is like, look, I mean, what you just said, Pete, about the remote play doesn't even factor into me. I barely use remote play, but yet that's a huge part of what it is for you. And yes, it's great when I'm done playing a game of NBA 2K and I want to play a round of golf. I just click a button because I have the golf club digitally. That's great convenience. What's nice is that these systems let us make those choices, because for all the talk I do about having physical copies of games, I haven't bought a movie DVD or Blu-ray or any song probably in 5 years, because I buy everything digitally on my phone or my iPad, because I instantly have access to it from eight different devices that I have in my house. So for me, when it becomes sort of that easy, like it already is for Pete, when that trumps the ability to trade and get credit, maybe it's when I'll go digital. But with games, they're too expensive for me right now to take that risk.
I think that's what it is. They're just too expensive, and even with buying the physical copy, you have almost every game now doing the $20 season pass or $20 here's some launch content that you're gonna want, and you have the PSN store and the Xbox store trying to upsell you on that. So even if you do have the physical copy, how about you hand over $20 extra for the special thing that you can only get day one if you buy it, or if you download this now.
And full disclosure from me also, I take advantage of the sharing capabilities, and I don't mean share play, but just the fact that you can have games on 2 systems and have friends and use that.
Well, that still works.
So, yeah, it works on both.
Loophole. I didn't know that.
So
fewer systems, though.
$60, it's $30 in essence.
Right. This past week, Nintendo released the first DLC pack for Mario Kart 8, and to me, that thing for the first pack I think is like $8, or if you buy the bundle of the one that came out now, plus they're having another pack of content in May, you get almost double the game for $12 extra.
Who knew that Nintendo was going to be the company to get DLC pricing right?
Not only that, but just with the pack that just hit, you get 8 extra tracks, 3 new characters, a bunch of like new carts as well, And these tracks are really really dang good too. There's a Zelda track in there, an F-Zero track, where they take the sound effects from the Zelda series and from F-Zero and kind of bring them into the Mario Kart universe. It's just really really great. $12 extra for double the game.
I can't. I would have bought that had I not been traveling all week. I can't wait to jump in and play that.
Yeah. It's excellent. It has completely revitalized that game for me. We had a Player One game night on Friday with a bunch of listeners, and that was hugely fun. Josh Hillier from Back in My Play joined us.
Heard of him
for a little while. Yeah, a couple of NWR folks joined as well. It was really great fun. Really really fun.
I continue to love Nintendo. I really like how they have slow rolled a lot of their stuff, but they are definitely hitting their stride, and I'm glad they did not do what so many people thought they were going to do, which is abandon the Wii U platform.
Oh yeah.
I think they've realized that it's not going to, it's not going to set the world on fire, but there's still an audience out there for their products, and they're doing right by them.
Yeah, that is not a smart move for anybody. Like, Microsoft, like, how many forum posts did I see over the last year that they should just abandon the Xbox One and do something even better than the PS4? It's like, that's not how business works. If you do that, you are going to alienate your most loyal customers who bought your system at launch.
Look at Sega.
Exactly.
Dun dun
Sega.
So yeah, that would not for sure. And Nintendo, they are definitely slow rolling it. The next DLC pack for Mario Kart 8 comes out in May 2015. That's kind of a long time to wait, but when that thing does come out, I imagine it'll spike interest once again, just like this pack did.
It's such a shame that it's going to be the worst selling Mario Kart in history.
So good. Captain Toad.
It just keeps on giving.
Captain Toad. I went back to Super Mario 3D World today after a long break, and that game is really fun. And I'm almost. I think I'm almost done with that game, actually, right at the end. Anyway, should we talk about some games? Because we've been talking for like an hour. We haven't really touched on any games here. Kevin, I want to talk Sunset Overdrive with you.
Hell yes. Let's just... Okay, you guys, if this is the best game of the year, go play it right now. All right, what do we got? What's next?
Exactly. Like, this is a game I feel is getting largely ignored because the Xbox One has the Halo Master Chief Collection. You've got Call of Duty that just came out, Assassin's Creed, and Far Cry 4.
Forza Horizon 2.
Forza Horizon 2, exactly. And then you have Sunset Overdrive, which comes out like late October and didn't even chart on the NPDs, and nobody's really paying attention to this game. Microsoft did do a marketing push around launch, but I feel that has kind of died off. Oh, look, Stewie's got his day one Sunset Overdrive.
In the cellophane.
I've noticed I bought a copy of Forza Horizon 2 that came out like a while ago. I also got a day one edition, weirdly.
Yeah, the day one thing's kind of silly.
Yeah. But Sunset Overdrive, really great game. I finished it yesterday, so chalk up another game that I finished. Bink. But really, really, really super enjoyable game. So much fun. The mission structure for an open world game I thought was really well paced. You could really do anything that you wanted to. The environments I thought were much more detailed than Infamous Second Son. Just have a lot of vibrance to them, a lot of life going on. Even though it's pretty desolate, it still feels populated, which Infamous Second Son did not.
Yeah, I want to go into some more detail. Although it is the best game of the year, I think potentially I haven't played everything that's come out up until this point, but I've been playing a lot these last 2 weeks. Couple quick things. First off, the art design of that game is very refreshing. It is nice to be able to shoot a bunch of stuff and not feel like a horrible monster when you're doing it. No, like seriously, because also, this week I've been playing a lot of Call of Duty and Wolfenstein, which, while enjoyable, you still get a little numb when you kill thousands of people in 6 hours. But the thing with Sunset Overdrive is, if you're listening to this podcast, you probably really like video games. So there's going to be a lot of great references for you in that game where you're going to be like, oh my God, like I got it. That the writing is fantastic. It is hilarious. I thought, even though there's lots of swearing, I thought it was still funny. I thought the main character was really well voiced, as well as the other main characters. It's a really interesting, fun story where I just wanted to go to the next mission, to the next mission, to the next mission, which is something like Assassin's Creed. Like, I usually need to just like take a break. Like, after 2 or 3 missions, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of boring. It's like the same thing over and over again. I need to take a break. There's a really nice set structure with Sunset Overdrive. Probably the only thing I didn't like about the game was the parts where you had to do defense, like tower defense type stuff. Yeah. That was the only thing that was like, oh, I don't want to do this. All right, maybe I'll take a break. I'll come back to this when I feel fresh. But you know, I think it's really hard to talk about this game without talking about spoilers, so I don't want to talk about it too much. I think if you own an Xbox One, you should play it. If you're thinking about getting an Xbox One, this should be the first game that you pick up for it. I think it totally justified the $350 purchase for that console for me.
Yeah, I agree. And that this game is sort of a system seller, but probably won't end up being the one that people buy for is sad. And I think part of that I have to blame on Microsoft and maybe even Insomniac for not doing a demo and not getting people excited about this game before the launch, because by the time this thing launched, the noise was just too much for other games that were hitting in November.
Yeah, I will say that the when I saw it at E3, I really didn't. I hate the design of the default character that they use. But as soon as you make your own character, it's way more enjoyable because you can feel like you make a specific voice for the character that you build. And at least for the character that I built was like just like a really. I was trying to make Stone Cold Steve Austin into that game, and I totally pulled it off with like a gun holster with a banana in it. So like every time he's having these really serious conversations, he's just like a dude, a really jacked dude with capri pants with a gun holster with a banana in the gun holster. So it's all these little touches that make it a lot of fun. I will say also that at the beginning, the first it is like a game that you need to play for like 2 or 3 hours to get how to play it. It can be frustrating. People made the comparisons to its look as being like Jet Set Radio or Jet Grind Radio. But I think it is the same thing. If you're not skillful with how to play that game, it can be very frustrating because you can die super fast if you are not always grinding, jumping, building up these multipliers, because it makes you more powerful and it makes it easier for you to take down other people. But from the weapons to the enemies to the best boss battles, maybe in the last since I played a Zelda game. You know, like a Wii U Zelda game, or the.
Plus, there aren't a lot of them either, and they're pretty memorable, and they don't feel cheap.
No.
Like if you die during one, you're like, all right, that was my bad.
Well, even if you die, like for most of the missions, you just pop back up, and it's worth dying. Like every time you die, like there's a Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure reference in this game. Like this game is made for me. Like
that's right.
It is awesome.
Like Bubsy, they made like a ton of death animations that are quite entertaining.
I don't think I saw. No, I'm positive I didn't see the same death animation twice in the whole game.
Yeah.
Like there must be at least 20 of them.
Yeah, the problem is I don't think very many people are into this game. I mean, Rich and Pete, you own Xbox Ones, but you have not gotten Sunset Overdrive.
No, I even though many of my friends have told me how great the game is, it's not the game for me. Between just what you're doing and you know. This will come out wrong, but just
right? You're an Infamous player, right? No.
Infamous was okay. I didn't come close to finishing it. It wasn't bad. See, my thing is, I have 5 to 7 hours a week to play video games, and if I play a game like Sunset Overdrive, it's going to that'll be the only thing that I will play. And I have to spread it out. You know, I love sports games. I'm in a couple of online leagues. So a game like
Couple.
Sunset Overdrive really has to appeal to me in many ways for me to play, and between the language and
Which you can filter, by the way, because I turned the language filter on and the gore filter on, and then it was fine.
and Forza Horizon 2 is my Xbox One game right now. Like, it's really hard for me to stop playing that. So, yeah, it's just not going to sort of work for me right now. But it's a personal thing. I'm certainly not. I mean, our friend Brian Weedeye from Pasta Padre last night was gushing about the game, and Kevin, I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, and obviously you, CJ. I mean, clearly it's a good game. It's just not, for me personally, not going to work right now. That's it.
Okay.
At least it isn't a super long game. Like, you can get through the main game in maybe 10 hours, I think, is probably what it took me. And
Probably.
And it's the best Insomniac game I've ever played. I don't think I've ever liked one of their games until this.
Really? Okay.
What?
Okay.
I played all their, or at least most of their PS2 stuff, and their obviously the Resistance games on PS3, and none of those ever clicked for me. But this, like, the humor in it was a big driving point for me. Like, I just didn't want to ever stop playing this game. I had bloodshot eyes every time I went to sleep at night.
Yeah, a lot of fourth wall breaking as well, which was great. Pete, so why aren't you playing this game?
Well, I don't have an Xbox One currently. I had a
that
decision
earlier.
to make between, like keeping the lights on or having an Xbox One, and I decided on lights. But when I reacquire one, which should be soon, it will be the first game that I pick up for it. Because I love Insomniac games. I can't think of an Insomniac game that I didn't enjoy, including the MOBA Ratchet and Clank game. It was like me and one other guy. Whenever I went online, it was just me and him playing against each other. The only two people that enjoyed that game. Yeah, I'm a huge Insomniac fan. The game looks like a lot of fun. The humor, to me, like, I've watched a lot of streams of it. The humor to me is really hit or miss, and it misses for my sensibilities, but it's not awful. Like, it's not, like when it misses, it's just like, okay, I see where the audience was there, like. Because the worst thing is when someone's trying to be funny and they just don't hit it, and like some of the later Leisure Suit Larry games or stuff like that, where it's just like it just falls flat.
Do not compare this to later Leisure. I don't think there was a single joke in this that. I mean, I'm 28 years old, so I'm like. I like dick jokes, I guess, still, and I like Fast and Furious movies. So every single one of these jokes was great, and I thought, like the one, I don't even want to spoil any of them, because I even like there was some that you could think like, man, like the timing is just really great on all the jokes. Like, the voice acting sells it, and I think you need to play it. Like, you need to play it and get invested into the characters, and then not like I turned on for 15 minutes. And watch like 15 minutes of a cutscene or something like that. But if you're playing for a couple hours and you get to know these characters and how they react to like the stupid stuff that's going on in the city and how like ridiculous it is, then it sells a little bit better.
Very much like Dead Rising.
I can understand that, and I will say that without playing the game, I can't say anything definitively, but I do know that a lot of people think that like the Saints Row series is hysterical. I've never found it funny. People think that the Borderlands games are hysterical. Wow. I don't find those.
Haven't actually recoiled.
And the problem isn't that they don't offend, or isn't that they offend me. It's that they don't go far enough. Like, my sense of humor is far darker than where video games are going currently.
Do you like Fast and Furious movies, Pete?
No, not at all.
Okay, then that's. I have an A/B test when it comes to personalities. You either like Fast and Furious movies or you don't. Either you like super stupid fun, or you don't. Like, this is kind of like stupid funny, not in the Dumb and Dumber sense, but almost in like the South
Black Eyed Peas sense.
All right, speaking of Fast and the Furious and cars and all racing, etc. Forza Horizon 2. So I finished Sunset Overdrive, and now I'm looking for another game on the Xbox One, and I am weighing the decision between Forza Horizon 2 and the Master Chief Collection, and I'm not sure which one I should get.
Well, you've
You
already
need to say
played
Forza,
most of
frankly.
you've already played most of the Master Chief Collection.
That's true.
So and Forza.
But I have also raced cars before.
Oh, for God's sake!
But have you won at many of the races in the cars that you have raced?
No.
You will do. It is, relatively speaking, very easy and very welcoming, and you will feel really powerful really quickly. I mean, I can't say enough good things about Forza Horizon 2. Not just how great it looks and how terrific the sound is and the nice collection of cars, but it's just so many racing games demand so much of you, and Forza Horizon 2 just wants you to have fun, and it does a great job of just letting you have fun.
Yeah. Kevin, you agree with that?
I probably played like 3 hours of Forza Horizon 2, and this is coming from someone that is more of a Burnout Paradise guy than a Forza or a Gran Turismo guy. And I think it is awesome. The first thing that I would do, though, is turn the music all the way up and turn the car sounds down a little bit. I think the music is kind of hard to hear because I think the soundtrack is really, really good, and it gets you into that. I don't know how the best way to put it, but just like it is a bad term to use, like dumb, like fun, just like fun, super happy game. And coming off of playing Call of Duty, like this was the great, best palate cleanser that I could have. And not saying that I think Call of Duty is a lot of fun. I don't think it's very dark. It's just it's your like the rock of the. I'm using lots of movie references to compare to games, but yeah,
Great movies.
Yeah, great. The best movies that are out there. None of that artsy bullshit. God, like stuff that you want to own the Blu-ray for because you need to have it in the best possible quality, like your Tron Legacies. But it is a really good change of pace, and it is. I didn't play the previous Forza Horizon, but I am really enjoying it so far. But then I got pulled back into playing Wolfenstein somehow. I just wanted to shoot more people today.
It's also
Drive Club.
I want to
Club is the Wicker Man, and Forza Horizon 2 is The Rock. All right, gotcha.
Good speed.
I want to play host real quick and ask why I like Kevin as a person, but everything that he likes and everything I like are so opposed.
Like the Odd Couple.
Go.
I think we all know the answer to that.
It's the balance. It's the yin and the yang. Because see, I like the fun stuff. You like the serious stuff. I know that not that it's. I'm not trying to say
You guys
what
are
you like.
next
But
to each other. Kevin's in the red hoodie. You're in the business suit.
I got my Dolph Ziggler WWE hoodie that is in the Saved by the Bell text. I got this on sale, and Dolph Ziggler will hopefully bring home the Intercontinental Championship after Survivor Series next week.
All right then.
I think we've explained
Listen
it.
to the show.
All right. Let's see. Where are we? Let's talk
I
about
have no idea anymore.
Sonic Boom.
Man.
Rise of Lyric. I want to hear about this.
That game is terrible.
Speaking of buggy games,
Oh
I
man,
saw a lot of
it's so buggy.
videos.
Yeah, there's a
of
great
that
video
one.
going around of the endless jump bug that the game
Oh,
shipped
yeah,
with.
yeah.
So it's Knuckles in particular. So okay, in Sonic Boom, it's a free roaming game that you enter like particular level. Like there's like a big hub world, and you enter particular levels, and you're generally always playing as four characters, which is of course Sonic, Tails, Knuckles, and Amy. Which you're technically supposed to be able to switch to on demand, but doesn't necessarily always work that way. And yeah, it shipped with a game-breaking bug basically, where if you pause while you're jumping with Knuckles, when you unpause, you can just jump again. And I think you can finish the whole game in under an hour that way.
like a blessing.
Yeah, actually, after I played it for about 2 hours, I kind of figured that was the best way to play it. But yeah, it's really bad.
How does it compare to all those bad Sonic games that have come before it, like, Sonic 1, 2, 3, Knuckles? I'm just joking.
No, actually, it's a good point to bring those up though, because like for all the whole Sonic was never good conversations, and there are a lot of people who say that the Sonic games were literally hold right to win and that sort of thing, which the first 3 or 4 Sonic games, that was never really true. You could do that on a couple of levels, but you did have to stop and actually play those games once in a while. They've definitely gone in Sonic Boom. When you're in the segments where you actually run quickly, they've definitely gone the same way as hold right to win thing. So when you get into like a fast section of that game, you're basically in an endless runner. Really, the only control you have is to jump and to move left and right, and that's it.
Yeah, don't you have like 3 columns of movement? You can.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you don't run fast. Sonic can't run fast unless you're in these running sections. So, kind of defeats the purpose. But
how do you compare it to the other, like the latest 3D Sonic games that have come out recently? Not just like Sonic Generations, but Sonic Unleashed and even Sonic 2. Is it better than those?
No.
Okay.
No, I wouldn't say so. It's again another infuriating example of the insane dips in quality that series takes randomly. They tried to make a 3D platformer in the vein of like a Super Mario World, or not Mario World, like even Super Mario 64, I should say, like that type of game, and they just failed. There's a ton of there's a ton of glitches and bugs and all over the place. Your characters will regularly fall behind and then snap up to where you are again, and you can't switch to them while they've fallen behind and that sort of thing, and you just don't have any real good control. The jumping is really imprecise. The camera is terrible. It randomly likes to zoom right in on you, and you can't move it away when you even have control. Half the time, it just takes control away from you without warning you. This big hub world is gigantic, and it's empty. It's like completely empty. There's like 3 or 4 guys in the whole world that you can actually talk to, and they're on opposite ends of the world. Like, it's just it's terrible. And it's sloppy too. Like I was thinking back to like my first job in game development was as a level designer, and one of the tasks that I had to do was I'd go into the level that we created, and I'd lay down invisible triggers. So of course when the player walked through this trigger, something would happen. Normally it was dialogue or something like that. This is when the dialogue is going to play. And the reason I even bring that up is because in Sonic Boom, it's obviously meant to be like a kid's game, so they explain everything constantly, but they don't explain it until after you've done it. So the characters are constantly telling you how something works after you've used it. Like, there's a jump pad here, so you jump on it and you bounce up in the air, and while you're bouncing up the air, it explains to you how you use jump pads. And it's constantly stuff like that.
That can't be real.
The
You
dialogue-
just made that up.
No, and then like there's this great section I was playing last night where I was running on water, which of course, by the way, Sonic and his friends can't swim, but if they hit a boost pad, they can run over water. And
Of course.
So I'm
Like-
running down this corridor of water, and there are these 2 ramps in front of me, right? And of course, it's the first time I've seen a ramp while I'm running on the water, so of course Sonic has to say something about it. So while I'm halfway up the ramp, he says, "Oh, we should use these ramps." The best part is when I finish the jump off the ramp, Tails, who's behind me, says, "Those things look like ramps." And like the whole game just works that way. But the best part is that the dialogue is terrible, but I really feel like whoever was writing it decided they were making a terrible game, because especially Knuckles and Amy as well, the level I was playing with them when I finally finished playing it last night, they were constantly taking jabs at the game's design and the dialogue.
What?
Yeah, like they're saying, because it's just terrible. And things like cinematics will start out of nowhere, and then when they finish, you come back, and any dialogue that was cut off will just continue playing.
Greg, what were you expecting, dude?
Generations was good.
All right.
Here's the thing, though. Now, I mean, I think 2014 proves that you just can't expect like a smooth experience. There are gonna be bugs everywhere. Right?
Yeah, but even if
the
the
game
game
comes out
wasn't buggy, it
in
wouldn't be
October,
that good.
November, there's gonna be bugs.
Even if the game wasn't buggy, it wouldn't be that good.
Yeah.
So it's a shame. It's not even just mediocre. It's just bad. It's just a bad game.
That sucks.
So anyway, I returned it today. I played it for about 2.5 hours last night, which I'm going to be posting to YouTube so everyone can enjoy it. Had a lot of people watching when I was playing it on Twitch last night. Like 20 people were tuning in. Guillaume from Nintendo World Report was tweeting out that I was playing the train wreck that is Sonic Boom. Yeah, it's terrible.
That sucks.
Stay away.
Yeah. How was the trip to Florida, by the way?
The trip to Florida was emotional. So the reason I went down there, I think I explained this a little bit last week, but of course I've been going on about Extra Life for actually since May, I realized, because Kevin was actually the first person who donated to the campaign this year for me, and he had donated back in May originally. So, yeah, I've been going on about that, raising money for sick kids at my local hospital, the IWK. So I got an email, an invitation to a gaming tournament, Extra Life United, which took place down in Orlando at Disney World. And the whole idea was to be able to play for a sum of money that actually wasn't really cast in stone because it was being raised while we were playing. And I didn't make it past the third round of the prelim tournament, which was kind of sad. Although I did manage to grab $150 or so from my hospital. But the winner of the
probably should have let the charity take that, Greg, instead of grabbing it for yourself.
I didn't have a flight back.
Was it in one of those money booths where they blow the cash around you as well?
I wish they'd done that. I would have been okay at that. But the winner of the tournament actually took home, I think, over $90,000 for their hospital.
Oh wow!
Because the pot was over $180,000 by the end. So, but anyway, this was happening down there. The reason it was in Orlando is because the Children's Miracle Network has a conference down. I don't know if it's in Orlando every year, but they have a conference every year. And this one was called Momentum. I think they've changed the name. This year it was called Momentum, where it's a bunch of fundraisers like Extra Life and a bunch of corporate partners and things like that, and they all sort of come together to celebrate the past year and how the fundraising has gone and their marketing campaigns and everything. But they also bring in champions, they call them, kids from every CMN hospital, and they get treated like royalty. And so along with the tournament, we actually were invited to the champion's arrival, which they were from Canada and the U.S. And then during what's something they call a medal ceremony, where each kid gets to come out on stage and is introduced to the crowd, and you get a little bit of background on them, like and their likes and dislikes and everything like that, and they get a medal. It's a medal, so yeah, medal ceremony. And that was the most inspiring and painful thing I've ever had to deal with, and not because anyone did a bad job, but I mean some of the stories of these kids are just heartbreaking. But it really inspired me and added to my resolve to do better next year for Extra Life and see if I can't help sort of build it up regionally as well. The representative from the IWK was actually down there as well, and we spoke at length about building up the local fundraiser number and trying to organize a little bit, and I'm really excited to do it. But I'll tell you the other thing that it made me feel really good about gamers in general, because there were 64 of us that went down there for the prelim tournament, and then there were also 12. They were like basically Twitch celebrities that were in the feature tournament, and we were sort of playing to get into the feature tournament. And to a person, everybody I met there was just a fantastic soul. Like, they were extremely nice. Like, I met half the people I ended up hanging out with a lot. I actually met in the line at the bus stop, and I overheard them talking about video games, and I just asked if they were there for Extra Life, and we sort of hit it off. But like, everybody there was so great, and the people who ran it were so great, and it made me feel so good about, especially with all this shit that's been going on this year with Gamergate and everything else, that the gaming community, by and large, comes together to do something like that, and it was just incredible. And yeah, so I also got to spend some time talking to Victoria. I don't remember how to say her last name. Enman. Her dad. Her parents were there. She's the one that kind of inspired Extra Life. She passed away in 2008 of leukemia. She's 12 years old, I think. And anyway, her parents were there, and they were sharing their story, and that was incredible. I got to stand and talk to her dad for a little while, which was definitely a highlight. I got to meet the champion from the IWK. Her name was Frederique, who, when I got introduced to her and she was told that I had raised money through playing video games, her eyes just lit up. She was so excited that somebody could play video games to raise money for such a good cause. So hopefully she'll actually start playing with us as well. That would be really cool. But I mean, all the kids were great. There was a little girl from Georgia, actually, who was incredible. Her dad donated a kidney to save her life, basically. And her story was heartbreaking because she had kidney disease. So her mom was going to donate a kidney, and while she was going through the body, the various tests and everything that they had to do to make sure that she was healthy enough, they actually discovered that she had breast cancer. But the fact that she was doing this, they discovered it in time, and it actually saved her life. So then this little girl's dad donated a kidney. But this kid was amazing. Like, when she came out on stage, she totally lit up the whole place, and she kind of took over. And the Extra Life United tournament was being streamed on Twitch, and she actually came by the booth. Her name is Belle, by the way. I want to make sure I had her name right. Belle Helton. She came by the booth, and she got up on stage and put a microphone on, and she just commanded the whole broadcast, and it was amazing. I think she's like 12 years old, or maybe 9 or something like that. She ended up singing the song from Frozen for us. And it's like, even every time we thought she was done, she just kept going. And she was like directing cameras, and she introduced her dad, and she made them put a camera on her dad, and he stood up and waved, and she's like, okay, you're done now, sit back down. And like, she just took over the whole thing, and she was around forever. But all the kids were really great, and getting to meet them was great, and it was just an amazing experience. So yeah, I can't wait for Extra Life to start up next year again.
Well, don't forget, like, there's still tons of time to donate to Greg's Extra Life. So,
yes.
Make sure you get, not that after hearing this story you should feel like guilt to go into it, but the way I always look at it is, if you're in the States, you should do it just because it's tax deductible, even if you're a selfish person.
It's also tax deductible in Canada.
Well, I didn't know about Canada, but I'm just saying, and also, like, think about, what $25 can do for, a sick kid who hasn't had the same opportunities that you had as hopefully a healthy person up into the point where you're able to make that money. So those are always hats off to you guys that actually do the 24-hour live streams and organize all that stuff, like you posting all that stuff to get people money. That stuff counts too.
But yeah, and I mean, I'm sorry to go on about it, but it really was one of the most inspiring weeks of my life. And
that's great.
It was emotional too.
Were any of the websites down there covering it, or any like Polygon, Joystick, anyone doing that?
No, and I don't know if they even knew what was going on. That was one of the things that it was definitely a dry run for Extra Life. It was new to them, and I know that next year, like Jeremy, the guy running it, was very open. Things would be different next year than they were this year. So we learned a lot this year. But I also, really quick, just wanted to call out a couple people in particular that I met down there that were really cool. Devin and Matt and Ray, Nathan from Vermont, who had a really great story. He was actually, it was really weird because when he was 14, he was diagnosed with leukemia, and he's in remission. He had chemo for 4 years, so he actually works very closely with his hospital in Vermont. And the champion that was there from the hospital in Vermont was actually a leukemia survivor who had become a firefighter. Nathan's actually a firefighter as well. So they were both firefighters. He was super excited when he found that out, and I just thought that was really cool. But also wanted to call out Ryan and Katie from Ontario. They were the people that I hung out with the most down there. Really great couple. So, yeah. And one more thing, and I don't want to embarrass Kevin here, but I was going to do this whether he was on the show or not tonight. I did a raffle for Extra Life, and CJ, for you too, because CJ was one of the people I picked, and he said, no, don't send me the prize, pick somebody else, which I'm going to be announcing the prize winners. But Kevin actually won the grand prize, which was a $100 gift certificate to PSN or Xbox Live or whatever. And when I asked him which he wanted me to get him, he turned around and said, take the $100 and donate it to your hospital. So thank you.
That's just because I hate digital, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know now that it wasn't actually as benevolent as I thought. No, that was an amazing gesture, and thank you very much, Kevin, for that. I really.
Like I said, the kids need it. more than I do, and that's like I said. I hope to have the time to and the energy and the actual what's the best way to put it, the dedication to organize something like that, and hopefully I did my best to send the back of my play audience to your way. But any time you can help raise money for kids or leukemia or cancer or like any of that stuff, like geez, take every opportunity to do it. And like I said, you kicked ass on your goal this year, so hats off to you.
So we'll go for 4,000 next year.
I'll go for 10,000.
There you go. But anyway, I thank you for letting me get that in, CJ. I really wanted to talk about that. So.
Yeah, of course, cool. All right, hey Rich.
Yo.
I know for a fact that you have been playing some sports games because you're Rich Grisham and that's what you do. So why don't you tell us about some sports games you've been playing?
Well, I am trying single-handedly to keep the little competition that remains in sports games alive. There are 2 sports genres that have 2 games. The rest are all one or none, and those are basketball and soccer. So I've been playing a lot of NBA 2K15 and NBA Live 15, and NBA 2K15 is a incredible game, especially now that it seems like all the online problems have subsided. But I sort of accidentally stumbled into this. I'm playing a season in both basketball games and playing a couple in NBA, and then I go play a couple in Live and go back and forth, and that's been a lot of fun. And Live is for me fun this year because I can basically when I play Live, the game lets you be really good. I can slam dunk and I can make nice passes and things. Whereas in NBA 2K, like everything is a struggle. I don't even mean that as a negative, but like NBA 2K15, you gotta know how to play the game.
I even asked you about that, like through Twitter, because I loved the NBA 2K games, but they're way too difficult for me to want to play them anymore.
Yeah.
Without being just like having to turn down the difficulty so low, it's not even a challenge.
Yeah, it demands a lot from you, and it rewards you when you learn how to play the game. It is, and it's great. It's just if you're not a basketball guy or you haven't played in a few years, it's you got to make that your job to learn how to play NBA 2K. Whereas Live, I mean, I can dominate pretty easily. A couple of tricks that they teach you very early when you get the game, and I'm slamming and I'm giving and going and I'm blocking stuff, and I'm getting steals, all sorts of stuff. Now, again, Live isn't nearly as good as 2K, but it is to me a good game. And as Pete Dodd tweeted last night, I may be the only person that actually has it, but that's okay. But
it's share play it with all of us.
But it's fun, or it's fun for me to sort of be playing simultaneous seasons in both of these games and sort of seeing how that goes. And I'm also playing the new Pro Evo Soccer, which just came out, which is a competitor of FIFA. And it is, in many ways, better than FIFA. The game itself is really, really good. It plays... when you're playing it, it looks much more like actual soccer does when you watch the Premier League on TV. Whereas FIFA, to me, is a great game, but it's a gamey soccer game, and Pro Evolution is a soccer game. The problem with Pro Evo is that it's better than it used to be, but it's still almost unintelligible to somebody who is not a international football aficionado. It doesn't have the licenses of the teams, so unless you really know clubs around the world, you'll have a hard time just sort of figuring out what's going on. It does have all the players, but boy, if you want a soccer match that really looks and plays like real soccer, Pro Evo is definitely worth a shot. So, I've been trying to support both of the sports that at least you have competition, because in pretty much everything else, you got to buy Madden if you want to play football, you got to buy NHL if you want to play hockey. You got to buy MLB The Show if you want to play baseball. There's really no competition.
WWE 15 or 14.
Yeah.
And of course, I've also been playing Zelda: Link Between Worlds. Continue playing that. It's so good. And
where are you in that game?
Let's see. I'm bouncing back and forth between the two worlds right now, and
How fitting.
I've actually sort of. I don't want to say that I've run into a. I'm sort of at the point where I'm not exactly sure where I'm supposed to go and what I'm going to be doing, so I'm kind of wandering around and going back and forth a lot, and I'm not sure if that's what I'm supposed to do, and I'm trying to avoid looking at guides or things, but I'm probably getting close to that point. But I actually have another road trip coming up here in a couple of days, and I'm going to dive back into that. And my other big time sort of travel game that I play all the time on my Vita is Pixel Junk Monsters, which I don't know if any of you have ever played it. I'm not a tower defense guy, but Pixel Junk Monsters, for whatever reason, just hooks me. I love that game. Love it.
It is really good. That is my favorite tower defense game that is not Castle Doom bad.
There you go.
Shameless.
Well played.
I also have that on pretty much everything, I think.
Yeah. It's
Maybe
again. I
with
mean,
Pixel Junk.
not a big tower defense guy, but whatever that game does, it does it right. And I just, I just keep going for those rainbows over and over again.
That's right. All right, Pete. You've been
Yes.
very patient, but I really want to hear about what you've been playing.
Well, this week the newest thing, or the newest thing to me, it's been out for a couple of weeks, is Lords of the Fallen. And the reason why I got this game, actually, was because of SharePlay. A friend of mine in New Zealand, and as you stated at the top of the show, I'm in Utah, had it, and I was like, it looks very reminiscent of the Souls game, but kind of generic. I don't know if it's going to be fun. And he just set it up, and I played for about 40 minutes or so. I got through the first boss and a little bit past that, and I was like, no, this game actually carves out. It definitely uses the Souls template, but it adds its own wrinkles to it. It's also missing things from the Souls games. It's not better than the Souls games per se, but it differentiates itself. So through SharePlay, I was like, I want to own that game. And
Is it still the type of game? Because I've never played the Souls games, in large part because I don't feel like those games would respond in ways that a game like Rogue Legacy, which is it sort of puts you back to the start every time, but you feel like you're progressing still. And I feel like these Souls games, if you lose everything, you've lost everything, and I'm just not. It just sounds so. I don't know. I can't do it.
Yeah.
So,
it has that aspect to it, which if you die, basically all of your experience is then laying on the floor right there, and you have to pick it up. But it has shorter checkpoints, but the thing that offsets the shorter checkpoints is that you can decide whether whether you're feeling confident and you're like, I can make it to the next one, because the more people that you kill without dying, the more your XP multiplier goes up.
Copied Shovel Knight.
Yes. But if you get to a save point and you save, it resets your multiplier. But it refills all of your health potions, and you're saved. So you have to make these decisions like, okay, I'm feeling confident. I have good equipment right now. I have 2 potions left, and here's the save point. I think I can make it another 10 minutes or so to the next one. But you also don't know what's in that 10 minutes. It might be a boss, or it might just be a couple corridors of just, trash mobs. So
right.
It has this risk-reward system that if you play really conservatively, you stop at everyone, you save, you know, whenever you die, you're right back there, you fill up your health potions while you're there. You can sort of make your way through it slowly, or you can take risks, and that's the interesting wrinkle to me, is that it's like, oh, if I skip 2 or 3, I can become overpowered, which is part of the fun of RPGs, is getting to the point, you know, like, I enjoy grinding in RPGs because I want to get to the point where it's like, you know, you're facing a minion and it's just like, poof, and they're dead. Like, I love being able to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So part of me playing this game wants to just not save. Like, I just want to go like 6 hours straight and get my, you know, the multiplier crazy and then save and then just destroy people. But at the same time, if I go 6 hours without doing a single checkpoint and then I die, I may jump out of my window, and I live on the ground floor, so it wouldn't be a big deal, but it would be weird. So I'm enjoying the game. It's generic. It's, you know, like, it looks decent. It has pretty good lighting. The voice acting's pretty crappy, and it's crashed on me a couple times. It's yet another game that is plagued with bugs, and the frame rate drops quite a bit, which, if you're a Souls fan, you're used, or a console Souls fan, you're used to that.
I feel like this game also came out of nowhere. Like, I hadn't heard anything about it, and all of a sudden,
it's from a small developer in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a AAA title from a big studio,
Right.
and that actually gets me kind of excited. They said that they've already made a profit off of it, based on sales, and
that's cool.
like, for a starting point for this company, like this being their first game, it's a good, you know, to build on it, get more money for their next game, hire more people. You know, it's definitely a good sort of launching pad.
Sure. Cool. Is that all you got?
Well, I've been playing Freedom Wars on the Vita.
Freedom Wars.
Yeah.
I gotta admit,
Hey.
I got rid of Freedom Wars.
What?
You got rid of Freedom Wars.
Kevin just freaked out.
Kevin, have you been hitting the coffee boss? That reaction. Really?
What are you drinking, Kevin?
Last week you talked about how, you know, Kevin Larrabee got me to buy Freedom Wars and we're all gonna play it together. Like,
Yep.
I thought we were all gonna get on the PlayStation Network and play some Freedom Wars together, but I guess that's not gonna happen.
Not my jam. Sorry.
I've still got it.
Did you try it?
Yeah, I played it while I was traveling. It's just not my
So
thing.
what about it was not your jam?
Just the whole thing. I knew I wasn't gonna like that
The whole
game
thing.
anyway. I gave it a shot because I was able to trade in some other stuff and get it for free. So
I will say that it was very difficult to play through the section where they basically have you run around the prison for like an hour and a half.
yeah,
It's like, go here, go there, go here, go there, go here, go there, and then after that, like, I stopped, and someone on our forums was just like, you're so close to getting fast travel. Just play like another 20 minutes and you'll have fast travel. And I did, and then all of a sudden the game became fun.
yeah. I went through that part and I got out into the regular, well, not regular missions, more missions outside. So it's okay. I couldn't see putting a whole bunch of time into it. I think honestly I'm just down on portable games right now. I don't know why.
Down on portable games.
Yeah, like there was a time,
Strong words.
like maybe last year, where I was playing more portable games than anything. But now my DS
Maybe you
and my
haven't
Vita do
found
not get
all the
time
portable
to-
games for you, man. I got this great game, Senran Kangura Shinobi versus Let's Get Physical limited edition that I can send to you because I have not touched it since I played the first hour of it.
Yeah, and that's a good portable game because there's no way I would play that on a big screen with my wife and daughters here.
No, you can play this under the sheets. You can play it in the bathroom, or you can play it, in the local phone booth outside your 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. So,
Shame Cave.
Gay Freedom Wars a shot. I really love the idea behind that game. I love the stupid fun of things like, oh, do you want to take a rest right now? Yeah, that'd be nice. Oh, you don't have the right to lay down yet. That's another 50 years on your sentence.
Like, that stuff was awesome. Like, that was hilarious how seriously they took that stuff.
Absolutely.
And, like, you're, like, automatically, like, you have almost no choice. You try to do anything that you would regularly do in a video game, and you get penalized for it, which, it really, I mean, those numbers don't even matter. Like, 20 years is nothing. It's like you get 500 years off your sentence by doing the first mission.
Yeah.
But I just, yeah, it's a bummer, man. It's still, like, probably the last really big physical Vita release that we're ever going to get.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
And you know what the marketing budget in North America was for it?
0, I know, but
$0.
at the same time, I think there's a really good, perception across people on Twitter, at least for, like, James Milkey, and that's about it. Who I follow. I'm talking about it. He really liked it.
Well, I've been hearing a lot from the producer. What is it, Nick over at Sony? He tweets a lot about Freedom Wars. It's basically James, you, and Nick.
It's the thing is that like I never really liked Phantasy Star Online either, and this game feels like that to me.
I agree.
Just the little the little bite-sized
You
missions,
didn't
and just it's not my kind of game. Sorry.
Sorry, man. I'm mad. You should be sorry.
How's that thing gonna go? Badly?
What?
PlayStation TV.
PlayStation TV.
Yeah, PlayStation TV, the Vita for your television.
They knew it was going to go badly. They didn't even send very many out, from what I hear. And the fact that Netflix isn't on it is
insane.
Was Netflix's decision though. I don't know if it's because they had another deal with somebody else, or if they just didn't judge it worth it.
It's like we're on everything, but not that.
But like,
yeah, so it makes the device worthless to most people. I may get it just to stream games because I have a capture card.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I kind of was interested in having it for, but.
But here's the other thing. I saw a commercial yesterday and it was. I'm not even sure. I guess it was just for Sony in general, but it was a commercial, and it was a guy on his roof, and the narrator's like, "Here's John. He's on his roof. John has a PlayStation 4 downstairs. John also has an Xperia, and John wants to play his PlayStation 4 on the roof."
You were watching Hulu?
No,
That's where I saw it.
It was actually the Alabama game, and
Roll Tide.
It was Roll Tide. It was very confusing. It was confusing to me on a couple levels. Number one, I don't know what product they were trying to sell me. But number two, it was confusing to me because even the narrator's voice was not. He's like, "Here's John, and he's on his roof because John wants to play his PlayStation 4 on his roof." It wasn't like, "John's on his roof, but he's playing his PlayStation 4. Yeah!" Like, it was just so...
I don't know. I like the first version better. That sounds funny to me.
I mean, obviously, but like, I'm confused by that commercial, and I know something about video games, and they're not even pitching me on the PlayStation TV. They're pitching me on some sort of controller that flips up that is a product I've never even heard of. It's
right, for their Xperia
phone.
Yeah, so to me, it just continues to feel like Sony's got their PlayStation 4 marketing down, and everything else just feels very confusing.
Yeah, for sure.
Pete wants to say something.
No,
I heard Kevin start.
Oh, sorry.
You just get worried when Sony has done such a really good job in the first year of the PlayStation 4, and now their advertising is getting kind of crappy. I don't see a lot of ads. I don't have cable, but when I see stuff like that, it is worrisome. And As someone that I'm the biggest PlayStation Vita supporter that I probably know. I don't know a lot of people that own it, but I think that, I think that even me, I think I'm really getting to the point where, like, I don't think it's got a lot of legs left except for all those fantastic games. Like, I'm wearing a Galaxy t-shirt. I'm probably going to play that more on my Vita than anywhere else. But I think that it's a sad time for us PlayStation Vita owners when you just can't miss that Sony doesn't really care about it in North America anymore. In Japan, it's all over the place, though. It's kicking ass in Japan still.
Well, that's at least good for us who do have it and love it, because I mean, if it's going to have a life in Japan, that means at least by default it will continue to be somewhat supported. You might not get any more big new games, but PlayStation Plus should continue. I mean, heck, for me, the Vita is my PS Plus player.
But also, you get like Danganronpa 1 and 2. Like, Danganronpa 2 is probably my number 2 game of the year. At this point, 1 and 2. After Sunset Overdrive, and just having NIS America, Xseed, and Axis still pump those games out. They're coming out in Japan, and they're a little bit weird. They're for hardcore gamers. As long as we still get like 3 or 4 releases a year, plus, like you said, a couple of those, nice downloadable games, which are probably going to be free on PlayStation Plus, then it's still going to be a system that I'm going to want to turn on.
It's funny, when I went in to find Freedom Wars, I went to EB, and like, I hadn't been in EB in a long time. And the Vita game wall is just so bizarre looking.
Yeah.
The covers and the titles you're seeing there, it's like, I haven't heard of most of these games, and they all look very Japanese, and like, well, okay, oh yeah, Danganronpa, or however you say that, okay. And CJ's talked about that game before, and Kevin's talked about that game. Okay, but there's like nothing you would expect on that wall, in North America. You just don't see any of the franchises you expect.
No more Sony being able to say, hey, we'll co-market your big franchise on Vita, because the third parties already know that it's not going to do shit on
like, you're not seeing, here's the latest Assassin's Creed, here's the latest Call of Duty, because the system started its life that way. You got like the Black Ops Classified and Liberation and all that stuff, and none of that stuff's there anymore.
I beat Liberation.
Did you really?
I did. It's the only Assassin's Creed I ever finished.
Yeah, me too. It wasn't bad.
The only Assassin's Creed ever finishes the first one.
I think that's. I mean, if you want to just hit on that for a second, the thing that is, not to get like weird about video games, but that cover of Assassin's Creed Unity, like, they're touting multiplayer, and it's 4 male assassins.
Yeah.
I don't know if maybe that was just. I can't even believe I saw that, because I usually don't like get crazy about gender in video games. But even that, I'm like, you guys couldn't put 1 female assassin on that thing, even though there's female assassins in the game. Like, you're not trying to get the female audience at all, I guess.
No.
Sorry, that was just a weird tangent thing.
I feel bad that we're not going to have time for Twitter questions, so let's do one. One tweet. And then we'll wrap up the show. From hacker alias TRiot42. My brother warned me not to buy an Xbox One because it needs internet and you can't share games. Will Microsoft ever escape this?
Blame Pete Dodd.
This is why you invited me. Now I know.
Yeah,
you can share games. First off, you can digitally share games on the Xbox One far easier than you could on the 360. I'll just say that.
It's I've got to say, it's really nice, because every now and then I'll fire up the Xbox One at work, and I really love being able to just plug in my gamer tag and everything's just there.
Oh yeah, including game save, cloud saves.
Yeah. I have to say, like, it's not a feature I use often, but man, when I decided to go and use it, I was so happy with what a seamless experience it was.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think they've just started to escape that bad press this fall because of the price drop. People are I feel like they're now looking at the Xbox One because it's so cheap as a possible option, whereas before, when it was even the same price as the PS4, people just had that bad taste in their mouth from the launch and before.
Yeah.
I think also, frankly, at this point, most of the people who were going to buy these systems this holiday probably don't know very much about any of this stuff at all anyway.
Mm.
I mean, all of this had to do with people like us, but most of the people that I talk to, about this stuff, like people at work, they know I'm a big video game guy, and a bunch of them are thinking about buying one or two of these systems for their kids, and they don't know anything about it, and they're certainly not going to video game forums or video game sites. They're just asking a couple of questions. So I really think. I don't think that matters very much anymore. I think it's all, like you said, CJ, it's all about the price at this point. And now that they're priced, now that they are virtually the same price, people are like, oh yeah, well, my son has a 360, so I'll get him the Xbox, and I think that's probably has more to do with it than anything. I don't hear people saying those kind of things to me, because I think that's for the most part been forgotten.
Yeah. More importantly, they both have Minecraft.
Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't. I'm so glad my son is 7 and he doesn't know that he could have Minecraft on my PlayStation 4 or my Xbox One yet. I'm telling him that it comes out at Christmas, so that's a good one.
My son keeps asking for that too, and I'm just like, yeah, well, I'll get it eventually.
Once you get that, that's all they want to play is Minecraft. Yeah. Once you get that.
Mm. Yes.
Hey,
that's the show.
Wait, before we wrap up,
what?
Just wanted to call out that the Sega Mega Drive / Genesis Collected Works came out. This was a kickstarted book about the history of the Genesis that I kickstarted, but I also was lucky enough to contribute to. And man, if you like just gaming history in general, get yourself a copy of this book, because it is fantastic. It's got a ton of interviews in it with a bunch of information that has not been... I mean, I don't consider myself an expert, but I have spent the last few years really diving into the history of the Genesis, and there's a ton of stuff in there that I didn't know. Some very cool, like I said, very cool interviews, and tons of great material. Like there's some technical drawings of the different consoles, and a bunch of concept art for like controllers that they never made, and for the original art design of the Sega CD, and a bunch of design docs from like Gunstar Heroes and Streets of Rage 2, and like I'm talking literally like the stuff they drew out before they made the games. Like it's got an incredible amount of stuff in it, and it's super high quality. Like the page stock, the paper stock is so thick that every time I turn a page, I think I'm skipping some, because the page is so thick that I'm sure I've skipped like 3 pages. Like I already knew how good it was gonna be, and I'm crazy impressed with how good it actually is.
Did you know about DSWAT?
No.
That originally, like the code to Rage Bare Knuckle was DSWAT to go after Double Dragon.
Oh, right on. See, that's the thing. Like
that's super cool.
Yeah.
I
get that book if you like gaming history at all, because it's an incredible book.
I will have to put that on my list, but unfortunately, Mike Phillips has shamed me from buying any gaming-related books.
What does he know?
Now I have to buy a collection of short stories by J.D. Salinger before I'm allowed to get any more video game books.
Chris Jericho's new book just came out, if you want to get that. What?
I love Chris Jericho.
I read his first 2. They're actually not bad. There's some grammatical errors in them, but they're good.
Mike his editor, too.
I'm new here, but it seems like this Craig Stewart guy is really into Sega?
Maybe.
He pronounces it Sega.
Yeah.
Sega, okay. See, the Sega.
All right, is that a show?
Throw that out there.
Is that a show? Are we done?
It's something, and it's been 2 hours, so...
God, it really has been. All right. Alrighty, that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. If you would like to comment on something that you heard, or maybe ask us a question, you can direct that to @P1Podcast on the Twitter, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find all sorts of stuff, like show notes for this very episode. Player1podcast.com/419 for that. Let's see, what else we got? Blog entries about Sega CD, maybe? Just a few. Generation 16 episodes, also on generation-16.com.
Amen, brother.
Let's see, a message board where you can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
Yeah, and other stuff. If you'd like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by going to playerOnePodcast.com or the iTunes Music Store. While you're at the iTunes Music Store, you can spend $1.99.
Cheap.
Thank
Cheap.
you.
Yes.
On the Player One
I
Podcast.
beat him so slow.
All of our episodes ready to stream, and you can also communicate with us via that app through emails and other things. Twitter.
Yeah.
Yes. You can also get that on the Amazon Android App Store. Did I get that right?
That's correct.
Yes. For $1.99 for your Amazon Android device.
Cell phone, telephone.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks, CJ, for setting this up.
But you know what? Special, super awesome, secret, excellent thanks to our special guest this week for filling in on such short notice.
Yes. And let's go through. Thank you guys for, because it was literally like, are you ready to record right now? Yes. No doubt.
We're doing this now.
Starting with you, Rich, where can the fine folks listening to this show find you on the internet?
The best place is the Press Row Podcast through Operation Sports. The fine folks there let me talk about sports video games every week, and I try to invent as many excuses as possible to have fine folks like Greg Stewart and Pete Dodd come on the show whenever possible. So, follow the show, download it, subscribe it, all that good stuff. Thank you.
What about on Twitter? Where can they find you on Twitter?
You can find me on Twitter at Rich Grisham. And you can also find me talking to that guy over there every week or so on the Doddcast.
Yeah, Pete, tell us where people can find you.
I'm usually on Drive Club. Game of the Year.
Game of the Year. Oh, we're doubling down now. Okay. All right. It's on.
And when I'm not on Drive Club, I like Twitter. And my name is at Pete Dodd, which, it's not going to happen. Or DoddScientifics.com, which is rarely updated. And I stream on Twitch.
Where can we find you on Twitch? Is it at Pete Dodd?
/ Famous Mortimer.
Right on. Famous Mortimer. Okay. What about you, Mr. Larrabee?
I got some great stuff coming up on Back in My Play. If you're into retro games, we're going to be doing Shin Shinobi Den, which is the Shinobi game that came out on the Sega Saturn. I was able to pick up a Japanese version of that while I was in Japan, obviously, and there's some crazy cutscenes, and after playing about 20 minutes of it, I kind of fell in love with the game while streaming it a couple nights ago. So I'll be doing that, and I also got, finally, after like 3 months, my repro copy of Bare Knuckle 3 came.
Nice.
So I have a nice Japanese version of Bare Knuckle, or Streets of Rage 3 that is, I guess, way better than the one that we got in the United States. So that's going to be coming up, and then I believe Kurt Claude is going to be back on in a couple weeks to do Konami YY World 1, which is the awesome, like, Konami All-Stars game that we never got here in the United States. So there's going to be kind of like 3 import games back to back to back on the show in the next couple weeks. But you can check that out at backinmyplay.com. We're also on Twitter. Definitely give it a check it out if you're into old games, or maybe you want to get some knowledge of some older games. It's mostly just people talking about their memories. And also you can check me out on Twitter at Kevin Larrabee and at Back in My Play. So yeah, please check that stuff out, and hit me up if you want to talk about retro games.
And if you're like me and years of video games have led to a few extra pounds, Kevin has also got a great Fitcast.
Yeah, you can check out the Fitcast if you're into fitness, or you want to get into fitness, or you just want to get really good fitness information. Thefitcast.com. I've done over 315 episodes of that, and it's usually in like the top 15 or 20 on iTunes for fitness and nutrition stuff. But really, there's so much terrible information out there when it comes to fitness and nutrition. If you want to get some good stuff that is backed by research and has guests that are actually like doing this stuff day to day, and they're not just trying to sell you stuff, give that a look. And it's mostly just guest interviews now, so you can kind of peruse or browse that and find your specific goal, and then find some good audio to help that stuff out. And it's at Fitcast on Twitter. Thank you for letting me do an extra bonus plug.
No problem. Thank you very much for being here, all three of you guys.
I'm gonna get back to Hackers. Can I go now? I
Yeah.
got 20 minutes of Hackers left, and I want to get to sleep.
I DVR'd the Eagles game, so I'm looking forward to checking that out. I think that's going to go well. I think it's going to go well.
Okay. I think that's the end of the show.
All right, next week.
Yeah.
See you then.
Bye-bye.
Bye.